Hey guys, welcome back to Critical African Thinkers. As you know, this is a place where we examine everything under the microscope of logic, presenting what is most factual and logically consistent. So today I'm going to be reviewing a debate surrounded that happened on Jubilee. Isaiah Martin, who is a former US congressional candidate, against 20 MAGA Republicans, and it was a bloodbath. He calmly wrecked, destroyed them with facts, evidence, with with brilliance. He dazzled them with brilliance, and it sort of reminds me of those times of those days when I was very right wing, with all the Ben Shapiro destroys such and such, Ben Shapiro destroys this liberal or that liberal. Now, at that time, those left-leaning people seemed like absolute dons. Like they seemed like people who didn't know what they were talking about, and they probably didn't actually know what they were talking about because most of the people that Ben Shapiro was debating were college kids, people who couldn't really formulate the ideas. They were the extreme elements of the left. Now, that's what I see when I look at MAGA today. When I look at MAGA, what I see are people who they have no idea what they're talking about. They're driven by emotion. They're driven by rhetoric. They're driven by things that they don't really understand. And one can say, or maybe it's the same thing as what happened with the left, where it's the ignorant, extreme right that's having these opinions or having these ideas. But when you see people like J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, saying the same things, or Donald Trump himself and members of the Trump administration saying these ridiculous things, then you cannot use the excuse of saying that it's the most extreme elements of the right that are parroting these rhetoric or sharing these ideas. It's, these things are mainstream to the Republican Party. These things are what constitutes the Republican Party and the MAGA base itself. So Isaiah Martin had this debate on Jubilee where he was surrounded by 20 MAGA Republicans, and they talked on a host of issues, from Trump's tariffs to Trump being enriching himself in office to even minimum wage, a whole lot of things. And these guys were talking out of their asses. So I'm going to be reviewing some of the clips that Isaiah has posted on his YouTube page, and we just take it as it comes. And so let's get into it.
Is one of the most dishonest, self-serving parties in the history of this country. Well,
your campaign is going to be struggling after today.
Yeah, Democrat Party is one of the most dishonest, self-serving parties in the history of this country. Well, it's to defend Ilhan Omar. She got into office with a negative net worth of $45,000.
Wait a second. I just want to make sure that something's clear.
No, just explain that to me. No,
just want to make sure this is right. You're trying to say that someone increasing their net worth
in
is
Congress,
in government per se is indicative of someone who doesn't care about America, right?
I think enriching yourself on the backs of Americans when you're there to serve is inherently dishonest, corrupt, and it is anti-American.
You think so?
Yeah. So he's laid the premise for this argument. Now, this is where he shoots himself on the foot. He's laid the premise. Anyone who enriches themselves while in office, while they are when they're supposed to be serving the people, is dishonest, is corrupt, and so on and so forth. Now, watch him squirm when everything he just said applies to his principle, applies to Donald Trump. These guys are not smart, because if he was smart, he would have seen this coming from a mile away. They are unable to hold Trump accountable for anything. They can hold any other person accountable for the things that they've done. But when it comes to Donald Trump, all of a sudden, it doesn't really matter. There's an excuse. He's going to give an excuse for this. So let us see how Isaiah handles this.
Yeah. How much has Donald Trump's net worth increased since he's been the president?
I know that he spent, for a fact, over $600 million in wrongful lawsuits that were brought by Letitia James.
That was not the question. The question wasn't how much has he spent, how much has he made. I mean, there's never been a U.S. president I don't think there's ever been any president in the world, even as corrupt as African leaders are, that are this overtly corrupt as Trump is. I mean, he's not even hiding it. He's using his position as the president of the United States to enrich himself. He's not hiding it, it's out there. No African leader as corrupt as they are would even be brazen enough to do what Trump is doing. And this guy is just nothing there.
And all of these crazy Democrats in the judicial.
How much?
How much what?
How much has his net worth increased since he's been president in 2025?
Well, you tell me.
$3.3 billion.
He also had to spend. He also had to spend $600 million. He also had to spend $600 million on these lawsuits that you guys, these frivolous lawsuits that you guys are bringing up.
Has made more money off the.
He's been an independent businessman his entire life. He's still.
So let's say he's spent $600 million. Well, that leaves him with what? $2.4 billion as profit from just being president. I think being president may actually have saved Donald Trump again from bankruptcy, because he's always going bankrupt. I mean, someone who could bankrupt a casino, someone who could bankrupt a university, and so on and so forth. So yeah, maybe he spent $600 million, which I don't really know if that's true or not. But this guy has made billions of being. It's insane. I don't think any other U.S. president could have gotten away with something like this. What Nixon did was it as bad as this? Was it as bad as what Trump is doing right now?
Still owns golf courses. His son Eric made more than him. His son Eric still runs the golf courses.
So if your own logic is that making money in public office is indicative of someone who hates America, I would say the guy who's made more than anybody else in the history of America probably hates America,
this is
right?
An absolutely false equivalence.
That's not how that works, did it?
This is an absolutely false equivalence.
That didn't work out well.
How is it a false equivalence? How? You set the background. You laid out the foundation of the argument that anyone who makes money while he's in office is corrupt and they don't like America, right? And now when you see that it applies to Donald Trump, you're trying to say, oh, that's a false equivalence. Explain how it's false equivalence.
This is a false equivalence.
And your campaign is going to be struggling after
today. Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to be fine, okay?
Your campaign is going to be struggling.
Minimum wage should have been well over $20.
So that was just one. This one, they're talking about minimum wage, and you will just see this guy's hypocrisy, right? He's going to argue and say, oh, minimum wage should be higher. And then when he's asked, would you support increasing the minimum wage? He says, no. I mean, these people they love misery. And none of them are wealthy, by the way. I don't think any of these guys are wealthy, right? They're going to be supporting the interests of the billionaire class against their own interests. They're going to be putting the interest of people who already have so much against their own interests for ideological reasons. How can you be so totally captured that you'll be voting against your own interest consistently? Because what? You're a billionaire in the making. Any of you guys are never going to make $1 billion. No. But this is where we are.
Minimum wage should have been well over $20 10 years ago.
Will you support raising the minimum wage?
No, I won't.
So how would that have happened if it should have been well above $20 10 years ago? If that's what should have happened, and now he's asking you, would you support raising it? How the hell would it even get to $20 if it's not raised? Will it just magically go there by itself? How is that supposed to happen? I mean, these guys are always saying government is not supposed to do anything. Then why have government to begin with? If government is not supposed to do anything, why have it to begin with? Or tax dollars should not be used to fund social welfare programs that are going to benefit everyone. You're paying these taxes already. The money is they've taken it. Whether you want them to use it to fund social welfare programs, or you want them to use it to fund foreign wars, they're taking the money anyway. So how about it being beneficial to ordinary people, to ordinary Americans? But no. Suffering is the point of it.
wage growth?
No, that's not what we're discussing. But hey, minimum wage should have been well over $20 10 years ago.
Did you get your $2,000 Doge check?
From the tariffs?
From Doge as a
Which
result of all the
$2,000
spending that was
which
supposed to
one?
happen. There was supposed to be a $2,000 Doge check. Did you get that?
No, but they haven't said anything about
Have
that.
they introduced something for that?
Who said that they were
Have
supposed to
they?
do that?
That's what
I know we're
Elon
supposed
said.
to
He
be
said
getting,
that we'd be getting a check in the mail.
but no, but you guys went into this not letting him do what he came there to do.
So you control
Why
the
would
House,
anyone want
Senate,
fraud to be continued?
White
If it's
House.
happened when I
You control
brought up
literally
California
all
because
three.
The way these guys buck pass, they are so incompetent, and they would see the victim mentality in the Republican Party, MAGA. They are the biggest crybabies. Victim, woe is me, woe be me, woe is me, woe be me. You control everything in the government, you control it. Yet you can't get the basic things done. Those came in, they were going to save billions, and what did they end up doing? They ended up causing more problems than they've solved. Saved a paltry amount of money that didn't really change the needle, didn't move the needle anywhere, disrupting government functions. That's what Doge did. And then they promised, oh, you're going to get $2,000 from the savings that's going to be made. All lies, all promises, promises, and promises. Nothing ever came to these people, but they don't care. They don't care. They're not going to hold Trump accountable to his words. They're not going to hold his administration accountable to anything. I mean, how can anyone at this point? I can understand Trump's appeal in 2016. I can understand it because I was totally captured by him as well, right? And given what I know now, I'd probably still be captured by him because 2016 was a totally different time. But seeing what Trump is at the moment, seeing what he's done, there is no way any right-thinking person, any sane person thinks that this guy is it. This guy is the shit. That this guy is doing great. He's doing well. There's no right-thinking person that would. But these people are too far gone. They are like there's really no hope. No hope. There's really no hope for them. They're just gone. They've outsourced their brains, their thinking, their intellect. They've outsourced it for being a member of a cult.
Happening in this government, why is it happening over there? What do you mean?
You control the House, the Senate, and the White House.
Okay.
And you still couldn't get it done?
How could anyone work like that, honestly?
How could anyone work with having everything under their control? I mean, it's so difficult to work when you have everything under your control. It's so difficult. How could anyone work like that? That's a very good question she's asked. So let's ponder that. Let's ponder on that point for a minute. You have the keys to the car. You have the title to the car. It's yours. You know how to drive. You have a license to drive. And then you're asking, how could I have driven to the supermarket to get what I want? The road is free as well. How could this? I mean, come on, you don't have to be this stupid. You don't have to be this stupid just to defend Donald Trump. You humiliate yourself, ridicule, make a fool of yourself just so you can defend Donald Trump, who doesn't give a shit about you.
You guys did not let the guy
having the House, the Senate, and the White House,
villainized him 24/7.
So you villainized him with your words. I thought a very popular mantra on the right is "stick and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." So he was villainized with words. So how has that impacted him? He doesn't seem to be bothered by the things said about him. So how is that a problem?
What's your question?
You don't, I'm sorry, but if there's people doing fraud in the government, you don't want to know about it?
How does a bill become a law? Do you know?
What government? Fraud in what government? Trump's government? Okay, so what is Trump doing about the fraud in his government? What exactly is he doing about it? Okay.
Goes through Congress.
And so then what? It has to go through both chambers of Congress.
Okay.
It has to go to the president.
Yes, and then
Who has the majority in the Senate?
We do.
Who has the majority in the House?
We do. But what does that have to do with Doge?
What does it have to do with anything? You have all it takes to get something done, and then what does it have to do with anything? What does having the majority in the Senate and the Congress and the presidency, what does it have to do with anything? Oh my God.
In the White House, what party's in the White House?
The Republicans.
So it's almost like you can do anything you want. They managed to pass tax cuts for the richest people in America, but they didn't manage to go get the checks that they promised the American people.
When did they promise?
So it's almost like
they're not even
that
done
just
yet.
didn't happen
But
whatsoever.
they're not even done.
Oh, they're not done yet? Huh, I thought Elon Musk is back at X. Is Doge still active? What I mean, when Musk was there, they used to update their Doge wall of receipts, which with just a deep dive into it, not even a deep dive, just by perusing it superficially, you can just see the massive errors and flaws and mistakes that they made. Didn't save anything. So what is Doge still doing now? Are they still reporting on that? You see, Trump doesn't care about any of these things. He just does them to fulfill all righteousness, though, to say, yeah, I promised I was going to do this. I've done it. Whether it's effective or not, he moves on to the next thing. And it's the same thing that's going to happen with ICE. Maybe within a few months, all the deportations, ICE raids, and everything's going to stop. And these morons will be like, they're not going to think anything of it. They're just going to move on. Yeah, he's done it.
And no one said boo.
Because here's what's so interesting
nothing.
About conservatives.
Yes.
Is that you run on all of these different things. And then the second you don't do them, you expect that people will not hold you accountable. Did you get your 2000?
Exactly. They totally forget. They put their heads under the sand and they just try to hide. Oh, they don't see my head. They won't see me like the ostrich. But we were going to hold you accountable. We were going to hold you because, these things are out there. The information is out there. All the promises that Trump's made is out there. Which brings me back to the question. If everything Trump is doing is obviously against the interests of the majority of Americans, including the MAGA people themselves, then what is the point of supporting him? What they get out of this? Their hatred of other groups, their hatred of immigrants. So this is a coalition of hate. It's just based on trying to inflict suffering on other people. That's what brings them together. There's no positive message, nothing of value. None whatsoever.
What would be the purpose of enacting tariffs on a country like Canada?
On Canada, well, you want to protect certain industries, and Canada also has a lot of tariffs on the United States, and to get them to have a trade agreement with the United States on that. I don't think it's.
Didn't we have free trade?
I don't think
Canada?
I don't think.
What was the United States Mexico Canada agreement?
Yeah, that wasn't in effect when Donald Trump took office.
Who negotiated the United States Mexico Canada agreement?
Look, I don't think it is not a good thing.
Who negotiated?
It's not a good.
Do you know what it is?
It is not a.
Do you know what it is? You don't know what it is, do you?
Yes, I do.
What is it? Explain it.
Yeah, it was a trade agreement between the United States that overturned the previous NAFTA agreement.
And so what did it do?
It established the parameters.
So who negotiated it?
It was Donald Trump.
So Donald Trump negotiated the USMCA.
Yeah, we need to
read the free trade agreement that was governing over the.
So Donald Trump negotiated the free trade agreement, comes back to office and calls that agreement nonsense. Like, he literally asked which idiots negotiated this agreement. He was the idiot.
Again, it wasn't free trade. We need to renegotiate these trade agreements.
What does NAFTA stand for?
North American Free Trade Agreement. That's what was before Donald Trump.
Like free trade.
Yeah, again, that was before. That wasn't in effect when Donald Trump.
And so then yes, it was. And so, first of all, the USMCA was effectively the same thing as NAFTA.
No way.
And so what changed?
I mean, the trade parameters changed, but like I said, I don't think it's a good thing.
Name one.
What do you mean?
What changed?
I mean, for starters, lumber, the way that we trade lumber with Canada changed. I don't know the actual intricacies of the USMCA.
You don't seem to know anything. You don't seem to know anything about what you're talking about. So if there's a free trade agreement, and then you're saying, oh, that's not free enough, let's make it freer by adding what? Tariffs. How does that even make any sense? See, you couldn't pay someone to destroy the US and do a better job than what Trump is currently doing. Because if you see all the moves that he's making, he's undermining American interests all over the world, American hegemony, American power, soft power, military power, what have you. Trust, reliability, those are the pillars on which America is built up on internationally, that people trust the US to be sane, to be rational, to honor agreements. Trump is shredding all of that. He's attacking his allies. Does it even make any sense to pick a fight with Europe, to pick a fight with Canada, of all countries? Does it make any sense? Except the point is to undermine the US, except Trump is is a foreign agent. But even a foreign agent will not be this obvious. So this guy is just plain stupid. A foreign agent will not be this obvious.
Yeah, but what I will say is I don't think it's a good thing.
So we have free trade with Canada. So why did you go and put tariffs on a country that we had free trade with? What gets better than free? What would be the purpose of? Who are you running against?
Who do you think I'm running against?
I don't know. Who are you running against?
Guess.
Who?
I'm taking Adam Schiff's old seat.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Who are you running against?
Who do you think I'm running against?
I don't know. Who are you running against?
Guess.
Who?
You know, a tariff is a tax, right? And Democrats love to tax people. So all of a sudden, the Democrat in the room doesn't want to tax anybody.
Well,
Donald Trump.
I just want to make sure I correct this. A corporate tax is a tax on profits. A tariff is a tax on raw goods. It's why, for example, your tariffs are making things more expensive.
Okay, when you bought
you didn't know how that works.
Okay, you bought that watch.
Rolex? Is this a Rolex?
Whatever it is, the watch that you bought, there was a tax on that. It wasn't a corporate tax.
And Rolex,
this tax.
And by the way, it's an Apple Watch, but Apple had to pay corporate tax. Which, by the way, I want to raise that. By the way, for Apple, if you didn't know.
So you want to raise corporate taxes, yeah, but you don't want to raise tariffs. You don't want to talk about tariffs. But most of the tariffs, by the way, most of the tariffs are comparable tariffs. So whatever country is charging us,
we had free trade with Canada.
I don't know if that's true. It's hard for me to talk about some of these debates. I like to talk about more principle type of stuff.
Principle type of stuff means, vague. She doesn't want to talk about specifics. And these are the guys that always like to talk about what specifically. Now she doesn't want to talk specifics. She wants to be vague. She wants to try and meander her way. She doesn't understand what she's talking about. She doesn't understand economics. She doesn't understand business. She doesn't understand international trade. None of it. Nada. What does she mean by comparable tariffs? She doesn't know that. She's probably heard it somewhere on Fox News or some other right-wing podcast or thing, and she's just parroting it. That's what these people are. They have no thought of no independent thought of their own. They're just going to be saying some dumb line that they've heard somewhere from someone that's supposedly smart on the right.
But basically, Trump was trying to get comparable tariffs. So if a country was charging us 30% tariffs, we charge them.
So then he went. So he went to a country we had no tariffs with, and then added tariffs on them.
I'm not going to talk specifically about
because
Canada.
it doesn't.
No. Let's get specific. You having a stroke?
But you know, a tariff is a tax.
Now you're complaining that Donald Trump can't magically flip the switch.
He made the promise. Don't make promises you can't keep.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying is disingenuous. You haven't even waited a year yet.
He said that he was going to do this quickly. He said on day one he was going to start.
Trump made so many promises. On day one, I'm going to end the war in Palestine. On day one, I'm going to end the Russia-Ukraine war. On day one, I'm going to do this. Nobody forced him to make those promises. So are you saying that we shouldn't have taken, you didn't take him seriously at his word? You elected a man not hoping that he is not going to keep his word? What does that say about you? He's going to bring down oil prices on day one. This is where the promises this moron made.
Democrats and Republicans, we realize things take time.
You made the promise and said that it was going to happen in less than a year.
Everybody makes promises, my man. Let's be.
Oh, okay.
No, you're not. Again, this is why I think you're disingenuous. You're laughing at me. Now you're complaining that Donald.
You can see. Oh my God. I mean, you know, white people are smart. White people are, you know, they've done great things. They're great people. But you see the white people on the right, oh my God. Like, these are the dumbest of the dimmest white people you could ever find anywhere. Their ignorance is second to none. Like, it's almost like they're not even the same species. They're not even human. Because this level of thinking, this level of idiocy should be criminal, should not exist. And this in a country that is so advanced. I'm surprised. I'm so surprised with this sort of idiocy. Maybe it's the, you know, it's the smart ones, especially on the left. They're the ones keeping the country afloat. Because if it was left to these guys, it's terrible, horrible. Anyway, Isaiah Martin did a very fantastic job. You guys can go watch the full video. I won't be able to cover all the video. I just wanted to cover these few clips, but it just speaks to the fact that many of these MAGA right-wing people, they're talking out of their asses. They don't know exactly what they're talking about. And when they meet someone who understands what they're talking about, it just shows. They come out looking like the ignorant buffoons that they are. They don't research anything. They're surface level. They parrot points that they've heard from some right-wing source without any understanding of it, without internalizing it. So when they are taxed on it, they crumble immediately, as we have seen in this conversation so far. They were not a match. They were not a match for Isaiah. So I think that'd be all for today. You know, like, share, subscribe, and you can rewatch if you're just coming. And I'll see you in the live stream. It's bye for now.